Hey gang, Spada here, and today we are taking a look at PowerGlide from the Cyberverse line. Now this is the larger this is the larger Cyberverse figure. I believe they run about $7.99, and this is PowerGlide, and I dig him a lot. Now before we talk about the figure, I want to talk about his weapon. Now this is, according to the box, this is the way he holds his weapon. According to the directions, however, you flip it around. Honestly, I really don't think you need that many missiles in one hand. So what I like to do with the weapon is it actually detaches and comes apart into two separate pieces. I like to have his one hand holding that part of the weapon, and then his other hand is collapsing that weapon in, and then have his other hand hold the other set of missiles. And I just like that better. Now, PowerGlide in robot mode looks pretty darn good. I really like the way he looks. It's very, very G1-esque, and it's just a nice little update. And the size of this figure really works because it's a small figure, I'm not going to lie, but I really like the way it looks. So for size comparisons, here he is with a Kre-O and Deluxe Class Roadbuster. And as you can see, Roadbuster is significantly larger. So we'll put those guys off to the side. Now, the actual face is very G1-esque. The head sculpt and the face, very, very G1-esque. Blue eyes, little mouth plate there, very, very cool. So for the posability, he is actually pretty darn posable, I've got to admit. He's got a swirl joint in the shoulder with a ball joint there. Then his arm, because the transformation, can collapse a full almost 180 degrees, and he's got a hinge joint there on his wrist. Legs, there's a ball joint in the upper leg, ball joint in the lower leg. Unfortunately, his feet can move, or fortunately, his feet can move a little bit, but not much. That's about it. You can get some okay poses out of him, and he's not too top-heavy, and the ball joints do hold very well. The fact that his feet are nice and long, and he's got these big heels, really helps the figure. There are a few issues in this mode, though. The first off is the ball joints here on the upper leg are a little on the loose side. I'd like them a little tighter, but that's easily fixed. The big problem are these shoulder areas. There is a peg right there that pegs into a hole. The peg is too small. So when you go to move the arm, it just comes right out. Does it on both sides. That is a major issue. So if you get this figure, that's going to be an issue. I really wish it wasn't, it just is. The other issue I have is the head. I really wish the head could move. It could kind of go up and down, but that's about it. So there are some nagging issues, but I really do like the robot mode, and I think it looks really good, and I think it's a great homage to the original figure. So, transformation time. Before we get into the transformation, let's go ahead and get the weapons transformed. For this cluster of missiles, all you do is fold out that one missile and make sure it's flat. And then for this guy, all you do is make sure that that's flat. Alright, the transformation is going to start off with taking the nose cone in the back of the head and just completely folding it forward to form the front of the plane. We'll fold in the hands, and then those loose shoulder points will actually open up like that. Then we'll take the legs and just pull straight down, and that will take the hips and actually completely unfold them. And I like to put them in the back of the figure just to get them out of the way. Then we'll take this whole section and do a 180. We'll do that on both sides, and then collapse that into form the fuselage of the plane. Then we'll come down here to what are the feet, actually fold the feet and the rear heels up to form the tail fins and connect them together. Then fold the hips back up into the fuselage, and you kind of have to force it a little bit until it snaps into place inside the fuselage. And then just collapse what are the legs, fold them back and fold them up to peg into place. Now, just a warning, they don't really stay into place all that well. They don't latch in very well. And that's a problem, but it's easily fixed. Now for the wings, and we're going to take a look at under the vehicle mode. So just kind of fold the wing out of the way. Make sure the ball joint is pointing, the ball joint of the shoulder is pointing towards the front of the vehicle, and then just collapse the arm in like that. So we will collapse the arm in, and then there are some tabs on the wings that connect into the inside of the fuselage. And you can fold out the landing gears, if you wish. And finally, we'll take the weapons. So the weapon, there's a peg here, and that pegs into the right side of the wing, underside of the wing. Push that in, and then there's a tab there that fits inside the missile. And I did the wrong wing. I do this all the time. You just have to look to see where the tab can plug in. There's a hole there for the tab, so plug it in and tab it up. Do the same thing with the other one. And if you hear music in the background, there's an ice cream truck outside. Alright, so there we have his plane mode of an A-10 Warthog. And this looks great. I think this looks just wonderful. It's a great rendition of an A-10 Warthog, and it looks really, really good. It's got the 10mm chain gun in the front. My only complaint about this mode is it doesn't exactly sit flat. There's so much weight back here that it just falls backwards, and it's kind of leaving the front landing gear sticking up. My other complaint is nothing really holds together that well in this mode. You pop pieces off here and there, and it just doesn't really hold together. But you know what? It's all easily put back together. So, should you get this figure? You know, if you really, really like PowerGlide, I would recommend getting this figure. If he's one of your G1 favorites, you really need to pick this one up, and he's cheap enough that he's really worth it. But if you're a serious just fan of Transformers in general, I'd say yes, pick it up, but just be wary. There are some serious problems with this guy. The only reason I'm really digging him is because he's a great PowerGlide figure. He's not a perfect figure by any means. I mean, this guy would be great for kids. He's nice, he's cheap, and it's a fun figure. Kids are going to have a lot of fun with this guy. But there are problems. Just be aware of that going in. So, I'm glad I picked this up. In fact, I got this from my good friend Optibotimus, who was kind enough to sell them to me, given that I couldn't find a PowerGlide to save my life until he came in the mail. That day, I saw him in 2 different stores. Go figure. So he's at pretty wide release now, so you can find him. I like him. I would pick him up, especially if you're a G1 fan. I think this is actually a better figure than the Classics figure. I know that's a huge thing to say, but I really had some problems with that bigger figure. So this is Spada, and I'll catch you next time, and this has been a Team Botimus review.